Sudanese novel History and Development Tayeb Salih 1929-2009 The Wedding of Zein Part 1. Dear audience, it is my great pleasure to welcome you once again as we continue our journey through the history of the Sudanese novel. Today, our path brings us back to the world of the celebrated novelist Tayeb Salih, whom we meet in our fourth encounter. This episode, we turn to his first novel, The Wedding of Zein, a work that occupies a special place in his literary legacy. Through this discussion, I will offer a general overview of the novel, highlighting its key elements, the genre, the major characters, the setting, the central themes, the narrative technique, and the language that shape this remarkable text. Together, we will explore how these elements come together to form a vivid and deeply human portrayal of Sudanese village life, and how Tayeb Salih's artistic vision emerged so clearly in this early yet powerful work. So, the audience, our encounter with our celebrated Tayeb Salih renewed today, and in this new episode, I would like to introduce in our first part with his masterpiece novella, The Wedding of Zein. I tried just to reflect on historical background about the novella, focusing on the intention and the purpose behind its composition as has been expressed by the novelist himself, Tayeb Salih, as we are going to see. Moreover, I will try furthermore to introduce the general scene of the novella, focusing furthermore on the characters, the setting, the thematic meanings, as well as the style and the language that have been utilized by the author and the novelist Tayeb Salih. Let us start with the title, The Wedding of Zein. In fact, this title is composed of two elements, an event and a name. The event is the most significant one in the novel and remains dominant from the beginning scene to the very last line, namely the wedding. The name refers to the novel's central character and it is protagonist Zein. So as you listen, the audience here, just the comment goes to the title itself, The Wedding of Zein. So the Wedding of Zein consists of two important elements. The first element is the event, which is the wedding itself, and then the names which refers to the protagonist of the novella, and here we're referring our speech to Zein. On the intention and the purpose behind writing this novella, Tayeb Salih, in his interview with the Saudi well-known journalist Muhammad Rida al-Nasrallah, in his televised program هذا هو, Tayeb Salih speak about his novel The Wedding of Zein, and just here I would like to share his words behind which he stated the intention, the purpose behind the composition, the writing of the novella, Wedding of Zein. To quote him, "As you know, this novel is a celebration of the world in which I was raised, in a village in the central region of northern Sudan, a place I deeply loved. It was truly a remarkable environment, and I don't exaggerate when I say that in many respects it resembled the communities we read about from the early days of Islam. The simplicity of the people, their mutual support and compassion, their purity, and their overflowing affection. It was a society in which the dominant feeling was love." He continues and said, "When I became distant from this environment, I felt a profound sense of loss. And as you know, people often say that literature and art, in one way or another, springs from a feeling of loss, from the sense of a lost paradise. Through this art, I was celebrating my own people. This is not history, it is an art. I was celebrating the environment in which I was born and raised." The Wedding of Zein is an Arabic novella by the late Sudanese author and novelist Tayeb Salih. It was partially published in Arabic in 1964, fully published in 1966, and translated into English in 1968 by the renowned British translator Dennis Jonathan Davis. Within the realm of Arabic literature, the book is considered a classic and was republished as part of the influential Heinemann African Writer series. In this novella, Salih presents the day-to-day life of a Sudanese village and how that life is impacted by the news of Zein's wedding. The story portrays the everyday life of the villagers and shows their opposing beliefs and voices as the tale unfolds. The people seem to not be connected to one another or on a deep level. However, through the portrayal of differences between them, as the novelist describes the events leading up to the wedding of Zein, Salih presents deeper conflicts between the people in the novel. The issue of the difference between the Orthodox and unorthodox Islamic views. And the novella starts with, so just here I would like the audience sharing the starts in the beginning of the novella. Halima, the milkmaid, and she came as she used to before sunrise, said to Amina as she was measuring milk for her at one piastre, "Did you hear the bit of news? Zein is going to have a wedding." Such the beginning of the novella events.
يا سلام.
Tayeb Salih uses in the first two pages of the novel what is essentially a cinematic technique. The opening sequence of a film may consist entirely of rapid shifts from one place to another within the same locality. This is exactly what Tayeb Salih does in the first two pages of the novel. We are given a brief glimpse of Halima and Amina, and we note the kind of impact the news of Zein's wedding makes on the latter. The camera then shifts rapidly as it were and focuses on the school where Tayeb shatters the headmaster's composure and escapes punishment by telling the headmaster about Zein's wedding. There is another rapid shift of scene, this time to the marketplace, and again the news of Zein's wedding rescues someone from a difficult situation. What does Tayeb Salih achieve by this rapid shifting of scene? First, he defines the boundaries of his tale universe, the part of the village where Amina and her family live, the marketplace, and the school. Later on, these boundaries are extended to include the houses and the settlement occupied by the people of the Goz, but the inhabitants of these two places are essentially outsiders. So from outset, Tayeb Salih has taken us into three scenes. The first scene in the family house, Halima with Amina, and then to the school where Tayeb, who came late, has escaped a punishment from the headmaster, and who the rescue. The one who rescued Tayeb from the punishment is the news of their wedding. This is the second situation or setting, second setting. The third setting, Tayeb Salih took us to marketplace, and there also the news of their wedding has settled a dispute between Ali and Abdul Samad. So this technique is a technique that has followed by Tayeb Salih, and exactly we have moved with the camera first in the house and then into the school and finally into the marketplace. On the cultural context, the wedding of Zein is based on the life of the major character, Zein, being known as the fool of the village. The text starts with the herald of the news of the marriage of Zein and ends up with the occurrence of the wedding where the people of the village and the Bedouin all come together to celebrate this great event, implying the potential for an inclusive Sudan involving all the diverse groups while reciting the mundane activities of various outwardly disparate groups of people in a Sudanese village. The narrative brings in its fold a host of tensions, such as myth versus reality, conservatism versus social change, and the sacred versus the profane. It also interrogates the role of religion, especially Islam, ethnicity, race, and culture in the Sudanese identity construction. Part of the episode, the audience, I would like just to handle the elements, the literary elements of the novella. So the genre here, in most cases, by the way, the audience, this literary work of Tayeb Salih is described as a novella, while some other writers and researchers use novel. So the genre here, novella, and then we have major characters in addition to minor ones. So the focus here will be on the major characters, while in the text, definitely, no doubt, the story is backed up and supported by the two types of characters. That is the major and the minor. So the major characters here, we have Zein, the major character, and here the protagonist Zein, and then we have Hanin, we have Ni'ma, we have Imam, the Imam of the mosque, and then we have Mahjoub group, that is include many figures, Tahir Wasi, and some others, and we have some other minors, as I told. So just here we would like to focus on, I would like to focus the speech on Zein, on Hanin, Ni'ma, on Imam, and then we have Mahjoub group. About the setting, mainly the time setting of the novels, it is 1950s. While if you have taken the perfection of this work, it has been published in the time period extracted through the processing of historical elements in is from the 1950s to the 1960s. The event of the novel most likely take place in this date range. There are clear expressions in the novel about the setting of the novel. The setting place is a village on the Nile in the northern state of Sudan, or in the northern part of Sudan. If you have taken the dialogue, we would like to tell, dialogue is realistic and coherent, as it unfolds in a distinctly local dialect, the dialect of the villagers rather than that of the city dwellers. At the same time, Tayeb Salih allows some characters to speak in standard Arabic, which is also logical. Among them, the village school headmaster, and then we have the Imam. Those two figures given their education and cultural background. Mostly the dialogue within the literary texts, here I'm referring to Wedding of Zein, has taken the way of Sudanese dialect. To comment further on the setting, I would like here to
Ya salam.
To quote from Constance Brakely and Osman Ahmed. Those two figures, by the way, have conducted 4 interviews and have provided it with the title Tayeb Salih Speaks. So, in their introduction to a translation of 4 interviews with Saleh, argue that focuses on the village as opposed to the city because the village represents pre-colonial culture. Tayeb Salih himself explained that what Hamid represents the center of civilization in Sudan. I listened to him in many interviews speaking about the area. I'm referring here to his birthplace. If you have taken Karmakol as his direct birthplace, or even we have taken the northern state, or more specifically, if you have taken the area that is on the bend of the Nile, that is the area of the tribes that found there, Shagia, Bediriyah, Dahmashiyah, Rikabiyah. So he used to speak in so admirable language about this area, describe it as a civilized area, an area that famous with and well known with the ancient civilization of the Sudan. So because of this, he represent, as he told with Hamid, represent the center of civilization in Sudan. Meanwhile, despite the fictional nature of the work, the account of Sudanese village life depicted therein is considered accurate enough to be an anthropological record. For example, Sondra Halley writes that by reading the novella, referring here to The Wedding of Zein, one can learn as much about Sudanese village life as from most ethnographic studies. The world of Fort Hamid, as depicted in the novella, is a utopia. Salih himself explains that the world of The Wedding of Zein, unlike the same village in his other writing, represents the world as it should be, because of the happiness and stability that is so easy to come by. Salih goes on to say that this utopia is best symbolized through the coming together of the entire village at Zein wedding, which is possible only because Zein is the perfect representation of a unifying Sufi element.
Ya salam.
The audience, I would like to reminding you that I'm presenting Sudanese novel in our presence, the prominent Sudanese novelist Tayeb Salih, and we have here our first encounter with him in his first novel, Wedding of Zein. So in Wedding of Zein, as I told, it is our first part with him, and at the very same time with the novel itself. Here we have the main characters. A little bit I would like to share parts of some ideas, some points about these major characters. Zein. Zein is an unconventional man from the moment of his birth. When he entered the world laughing rather than crying, He also has a non-traditional physical appearance, which Salih describes at length. He has a long face with prominent bones, with only one tooth on his bottom jaw and one on the top, a long neck and long arms, which are described as resembling those of a monkey, broad shoulders, and prodigious and suspected strengths, which becomes dangerous when he gets in fights. Notably, Zein is completely hairless, lacking even eyebrows and eyelashes. He has an enormous appetite that leads him to attend as many social events as he can, where he inevitably irritates his host by eating too much. Arija Sawi Muhammad Balag argues that Zein's name is meaningful. She comments on the Semitic meaning of Zein itself is meaningful because it literally refers to decoration, which is ironic because Zein himself is physically unattractive, although he still decorates the village with his spiritual excellence. So as we are going to have more discussion, more debate about this masterpiece, novella, The Wedding of Zein, the speech on Zein will continue. And here just I would like to inform that Tayeb Salih has manifested and portrayed Zein with two appearances, that is the inner appearance and the outer appearance. So the outer appearance, Zein seen unattractive, while if we have taken him from inside appearance, we find him represent the good human, a human that who peers to the people kindness and mercy. So as I told, more speech will be focused on Zein and will be provided to him as a major character in the story. Another important and major character in the story, Hanin is a holy man who spends half his year in the village and the other half living in wonder dervish. No one in the village knows exactly where he goes for the second half of the year. Zein is the only person with whom Hanin is friendly towards. Hanin blessing affects numerous miracles in the village, including turning the criminal Saif into a model citizen, helping with harvest and prosperity, and causing their marriage to Ni'ma to come to be true. Balag writes that his name is linguistically. So furthermore, here we have the comment on Hanin name itself. So linguistically related to the words for great feelings and deep sincere emotions, as well as compassion and mercy, underscoring his role as the bringer of mercy to the village. So once again, the speech on Hanin will continue furthermore in our coming episodes. That is because he is represent one of the major elements, one of the major characters in the story, and Tayeb Salih has taken him with Zein to represent the popular Islam, the Sufi Islam in Sudan, while he took Imam and Saif ad-Din to stand for the Orthodox Islam, as we are going further to present in our next episodes. Ni'ma is another important figure in the story. And by the way, the whole events of the story is having and targeting the happiness at the end of the story. And this happiness has been achieved through the sacred contract between Zein and Ni'ma, his uncle. So Ni'ma is the major character, and furthermore, we would like to speak more about her in this episode and on the next one. So Ni'ma is the most beautiful girl in the village. She is usually serious and studious as a child. She was the only girl in the elementary school. However, although she was devoted to learning the Quran at the elementary school, she rejects her brother's suggestion that she continue her schooling because she claims that non-religious education is nonsense. Although she is approached by a number of respectable suitors, she rejects them all. And if I have taken for example, the headmaster and the teacher in that first time is so one of the source of happiness. Having that respected job at that time and profession. Despite that, Ni'ma rejects all those celebrated and, so to speak, the celebrities of her own time, of that time. Teachers, traders, so on and so forth. So she rejected them all until she decides that her destiny is to marry Zein. Balag writes that Ni'ma's name. So here we have furthermore the comment on the name Ni'ma. Ni'ma means blessing. So was chosen to emphasize the fact that her marriage to Zein is the conferring of a blessing upon him. Mahjoub gang, another group. So Mahjoub gang or Mahjoub group, by the way, those represent another important characters, have their strong presence, have their strong contribution in the events of the story. So Mahjoub's gang is composed of men between the ages of 35 and 45 who rule the village. They are farmers by vocation. They are not particularly religious, but they do understand the importance of religion to the community. So they collect the imam's salary from the other villagers every month and see to repairs in the mosque. They organize all important social functions in the community, including weddings, burials, and funerals. They also manage irrigation of the Nile and other important practical matters in the village. the Imam. One of the characters that Tayeb Salih has created and made to show another side of religion is the Imam. So the Imam is so significant and so important character in the story. And he is officially designated spiritual leader of the village. However, he does not connect well with other villagers because of his lack of concern with their daily lives and his fixation on fire and brimstone preaching in his sermons. He is the only person in the village hated by Zein. So the Imam, as we are going to take him further in our coming episodes, represent the Orthodox Islam, and to the villagers he is an institution. They address him differently from the in addition to the headmaster, so in addition to the Qadi, the judge. All of these characters and elements in the society, by the way, they are differ from the other rest of the common people in the village. In addition to the Imam, here we have Saifuddin. And Saifuddin, by the way, with the Imam represent the other side of Islam, that is the Orthodox Islam, as we are going, as I told, to have them in a separate episode in our coming next part of our encounter with Tayeb Salih. From another side, if you have taken the central ideas, the thematic meaning that Tayeb Salih tries to share, tries to reflect and to debate on the novella, here I just would like to speak generally. That is because if you have taken the main theme of this novella, here we would like to speak on the notion of love. That is, Tayeb Salih always used to repeat this word, al-mahabba. So, love, it is there, and it is the core essence of the novella. This is from a side. From another side, Tayeb Salih, as we have started the episode, he tries to do what? To celebrate a Sudanese village. A Sudanese village experiencing and reflecting a happy occasion, that is wedding. So from the beginning of the story till the end, we are moving and we are traveling with love represented in the happy occasion of wedding of Zein himself. So here we have love, we have marriage, and then we have community life. And the wedding of Zein itself comes to celebrate this spirit of inclusiveness and peaceful coexistence between distinct racial and ethnic groups. And then, in that regard, represent the unifying element that brings all things together. The audience, before to wrap up the episode, I would like to point out to the sources that I have consulted to bring and to present this episode. Wikipedia, a thorough study about Tayeb Salih, biography, literary works, contribution to literature, so on and so forth. Another source, Ali Abdullah Abbas, on his study notes on Tayeb Salih, season of migration to the north and the wedding of Zein, Sudan Notes and Records, volume 55, published in 1974. Another source, Bashir Chabani, a carnivalistic reading of the wedding of Zein, published paper available at ResearchGate 2020. Another study, Joseph Warbach, some notes on the mystical elements in a Tayeb Salih Hamid circle, published paper 2012. Another study, Ibrahim Gunaydin, his study and interpretation of the novel The Wedding of Zein in the specific of allegorical interpretation as literary text analysis method 2021. And then we have طارق الطاهر, أستاذ زين, دعوة للحياة والتعايش والمحبة, published on الجزيرة.com on 31 of January 2025. By this, the audience, I come to the end of the episode. Till seeing you in our second part of Wedding of Zein. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
يا سلام.